All right. Welcome, Con, to podcast number 2.
Podcast number 2, yes.
How do we go with the first podcast?
Oh, look, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Everybody has. One thing they've actually liked is that it's informal. They actually like the conversation. You've actually been a very integral part of the success of it as well.
It's been interesting. Haven't done a podcast before, so it's good.
Mate, no, that's no negative feedback.
Yeah, that's good. And what are we talking? Let's recap a little bit.
Sure.
What did we go through last time?
Well, last time we talked about worldview, the importance of worldview. We had a bit of an introduction of ourselves. We talked about the fact that everybody's got a worldview, and there are sort of different worldviews: theism, atheism, Christianity is a worldview, Islam is a worldview.
Yeah.
Then we talked about how do we test worldviews, like what's the correct worldview, like what's a valid worldview, and the fact that a valid worldview looks at what does it predict about what we should see. Then we look at what we actually see, and we see if they line up.
Yeah.
And then I think you asked a very simple question, a very interesting question about. Firstly, then you asked me about, so what's the Islamic worldview? What do they claim?
Yeah.
We looked at that, and then you said, but isn't the theology important?
Yes.
And we had that interaction where I talked about the fact that at the end of the day, it's the history that's important. And I think you had a very interesting
So what I got out of that was it's important to look at the historical nature of a worldview, like who wrote it, or everything around that, as opposed to just looking at what's in the book.
Yes.
So even in as a Christian, it's easy to just grow up in a Christian family, just know about all the stories, whatever they tell you in Sunday school. But then we find that people walk away from the faith. Yeah. And I feel like it's because they didn't actually look into the evidence.
That's right. Because
and we'll talk about that perhaps a bit later.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Yes, it's the cliche, isn't it? It's the child that's raised in a Christian home, goes to a Christian school, has all the learns all the Christianese, goes to university, meets the atheist professor, and then has their faith shot down. Yeah, because they were never taught how to defend themselves,
and even the apologetics nature.
Yes, and that's the thing. Everybody's got a worldview, and everybody wants to convince other people of their worldview, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so I think you had a really good statement from the last point of if it's not historical, then what's in the book doesn't matter. Yeah, and we used the example of Darth Vader.
Yes,
we did, but we can have differing opinions on him.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change how we live if he's fiction.
Yeah.
But if he is real, it does change how we live.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And so,
what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about how do we test truth claims. Like, all right, fine. We're saying that the Islamic narrative is not historical. Well, how do we test it?
Yeah.
And or how do we prove whether something is true or not? So that's what we're going to talk about.
Wonderful. Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. Well, I guess the first thing that we need to talk about is, I need to define a bit of terms, because one of the reasons where people go off track in dialogues and things like that is they talk past each other because they haven't defined their terms, right? So you might ask me, ask me a question. What do we mean by proof? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it depends what kind of proof you're talking about. There's actually different kinds of proof. Right? There's mathematical proof. There's scientific proof, and there's historical proof. So, as an example, a mathematical proof is where you've got an equation, and that equation always behaves the same way every time.
Yeah.
And what you do then is you use certain mathematical principles, and you can prove 100% that something that if you add A and to B, you'll get C, if that's the equation, right? Now, do you think that works with historical stuff?
No.
Why not?
Well, you can't attach mathematical proof to something that happened a long time ago.
That's right, and that's right. And do people behave like formulas?
No. You can't. Just because something happened in a particular manner today doesn't mean it has to happen the same way before.
That's right, and people.
And there is a logic. There is the laws of.
That's right.
That's natural laws and things like that.
That's right, and people are unpredictable.
Yes,
they're unpredictable. They're annoying. They don't behave themselves like exactly the same way. They're not robots. Mm-hmm. So mathematical proof doesn't work. Yeah. Then we got people say to me, okay, well, can't you prove science? Science says this, science says that, right?
Yeah.
But let's think about what is actually science. How do you do sort of scientific proof? I mean, what do you think?
Well, in school or I'm sure the scientists, they want to test that something is observable and repeatable.
That's right.
To me, that's the science. Can I observe?
Yeah.
And can I do ABC and do I get the same?
That's right. So effectively, scientific proof, you've got a hypothesis, and you're looking at, okay, well, I think that smoking causes lung cancer, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Or I think that this causes that, or whatever. So you have a certain set of initial conditions.
Yeah.
Right? You then expose those conditions to some kind of stimulus or variable. You then measure the outcome.
Yeah.
And then if you want to make sure that it was right, what do? You repeat it.
Yeah.
And you repeat it again, and you have other people repeat it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, again, can we do that with historical stuff?
Not entirely, and perhaps not.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you a question. Like, can you prove to me scientifically that your kids went to school today in the morning?
I don't know, but
scientifically,
yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah,
because you'd have to do you'd have to go back in time.
Yes, which we can't.
Right?
Yeah.
But you could use another method of determining whether they went to school. You would you would basically say, okay, did you get a note from the teacher saying that they were absent? No, you didn't. Did they get homework?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Right? Does their uniform look like it's being worn? Yes, it does. Did they eat their lunch? You know what I'm saying? So what you're then doing is you're using a certain kind of reasoning called inference to the best explanation. You're getting all the information you have, and you say the best explanation is, they went to school. And that's a little bit like how historical proof works.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to say was, when you ask people, do you believe in God?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is, no, I believe in science.
Yeah.
And to me, that actually does not compute.
You're right.
So
here's the thing. Do you know that science doesn't say anything?
Yeah.
Scientists say it.
Yes. Yeah.
People with their biases and with their agendas, right? And they use science to progress or to fulfill or to portray that their agendas. Now, those agendas might be right. They might not be right. Right. And so, no, science doesn't say anything. And here's the other problem with science proving God.
Yeah.
Science talks about what's in the physical creation. Do we believe in a God that's in the physical creation? Only in the physical creation?
No. God is outside of...
He's outside the creation. He's the creator.
Yeah.
So can you study what's outside the physical creation using physical methods? You can't.
No, you can make theories, and which is what the scientists have done. There's a theory of this and that.
Yes, but what I'm saying is you can. Those theories only apply to what's in matter, what's in space and time.
Yeah.
But God is outside of space and time, so you can't study that. So I guess one way, would you be happy for me to sort of go to...
Let's go into historical.
Okay, historical. Well, remember, so what are we talking about here? What are the four things that we're talking about with historical, with when we're talking about historical truth or historical proof? What are the four things that we said? We had, remember what they were? Certain, do you remember? Certain people doing certain... Things at a certain time in a certain place.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's how historical proof works. All right. That's his sort of saying how historical events work. Now we use maybe a good analogy, I think, is how courts work.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you get there's a person that's dead. The police find a body.
Yeah.
Right? What are the 4 possible explanations for that body?
Yeah.
I mean, tell me.
Somebody killed him.
Okay, murder is one. What's another possible?
Suicide.
Suicide's another one, yeah?
What else?
How else could he have died?
Got shot. Oh, that's murder.
Yeah. What about if he just tripped over and fell on a...
Yeah.
So, misadventure, accident?
Yeah. By his own accident.
Accident,
yes.
yeah, that happens. You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, you probably heard people who do certain things and to get to excite themselves, and they put nooses around their neck to...
Misadventures.
And they end up killing themselves accidentally, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's another way? What's probably the most common way people die?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, what happens if you've got a bad heart and you've...
health, yeah.
So we call that...
Of course.
Natural causes.
Natural, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so natural causes. So they're the 4 possible explanations for a dead body, right? Now, what do the cops do to determine the cause, right? They then have to gather all the information they can from that, let's use the word crime scene.
Yeah.
Right? They gather all the information they can. Are they going to go and gather information from 10 blocks away?
No.
No, they're going to gather information from that crime scene.
Yeah.
They're going to talk to the people who the deceased. They're going to talk to like the relatives. They're going to do DNA. They're going to
They'll cordon the area off.
That's right. You know,
chain of evidence.
That's right.
All that stuff.
They'll look for fingerprints. They'll look for gunpowder. Whatever they're going to look for, right? So and then what they do then is they say, okay, well, we have a suspect, right? And here's maybe another way to put it in things into perspective. Let's say a woman is found dead, and let's say her husband tells the police, oh, she killed herself.
Yeah.
Will they automatically believe him?
No.
No. Why not?
No.
Why won't they automatically believe him?
It's their opinion. It's one person saying it.
That's right. Is he independent? I mean, is it possible that he could have killed her?
Yes. Yeah.
So see, he's not independent.
Yeah.
You see, he's not an independent witness.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to look for independent evidence wherever possible.
So they have to get somebody else.
That's right.
To corroborate. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So what if the police think that a murder has happened? What they do is a little bit like what we're going to do. They gather all the information they can from the crime scene.
Yeah.
And they put it together as like a stack of evidence. Then they have 2 competing hypotheses.
Yeah.
Right? Hypothesis A is that the defendant is guilty.
Yeah.
Hypothesis B is the defendant is not guilty.
Yeah.
Right? So hypothesis A is that murder and the defendant did it. Yeah. Hypothesis B, and it's got to be specific, not just murder, but that this guy did it.
Yeah.
Some other person could have murdered them, right?
Yeah.
So then the prosecution takes that evidence and argues to the best of its ability that the hypothesis A, that the defendant was the murderer, best fits the evidence.
Yeah.
Best explanation.
Yeah.
The defense attorney takes the same set of evidence, notice the same set of facts.
Yeah.
Okay, and says, no, the best explanation is that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? So can you see how we can actually use that when we're examining the claims of the Islamic narrative?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
so that's why we're talking about all this.
Yeah.
That all makes sense, and I'm reminded of what's his name, Jim Warner Wallace.
Yes,
from Cold Case Christianity.
That's right.
He was an atheist. He was a cold case detective.
That's right. That's right.
And he looked into Christianity.
Yeah.
Looked at the Gospels as actual eyewitness
statements. That's right. And and then
instead of it being 10 years old eyewitnesses, we're talking about something that's 2,000 years old.
That's right.
Eyewitness accounts.
Yes. And that's right. So what he did was he took the same techniques that he used in doing cold cases to examine the gospel narratives and found that they had the characteristics of eyewitness statements.
Yeah.
Then that led him onto a journey to look at other evidence. Yes. And he was intellectually honest enough to accept that it's true.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit like, you talked about the evidence from science. Well, there's a man called Alan Sandage that was in the sort of early 2000s. He was an atheist, a humanist, and he got up at a seminar once where Stephen Meyer was at, and Stephen Meyer talks about that in a new film, and said that he was an atheist. He then became a theist because the evidence from the Big Bang convinced him. So he was, so evidence has its role. Now, how we apply that to Islam, I guess hopefully is fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We get all of the information we have from the time and place that Islam says that it, came about.
Yeah.
We don't get, whilst we can look at information from other centuries, what's more important is stuff from the 7th century.
Yeah.
Right? So we get all that information.
Sure.
We look at the Islamic sources, we look at the non-Islamic sources, and just like the cops don't restrict themselves to one kind of evidence, I mean, it's not just DNA.
Yeah.
It's fingerprints, it's ballistics, it's footprints. So we look at different kinds of evidence,
coins and what.
Yeah, archaeology, written sources. We look at carbon dating. We look at a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we look at the evidence.
Yeah.
And so hypothesis A says that the standard Islamic narrative is not true. That's what I'm going to attempt to prove. I'm the prosecution.
Yeah.
Right. We're putting the sin on trial.
Yep.
Right. My remit is to prove that the sin is not true. It's not historical.
Right. Yeah.
The Muslim will try and argue that it is historical. So what we're going to do in these podcasts is let's just put the evidence out,
see what's out there,
and then let the audience determine what you think is true. And so at the end of the day, if for the sin to have to be the best explanation, it has to explain all the facts.
Yeah.
Not just a few. All of them.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's how we're going to do it.
All right. So I'll be interested in looking at the resurrection, or what parts of Christianity we can apply the same testing, but of course we'll focus on the standard Islamic narrative.
Yeah.
Just as a small summary, just before we finish, what can you say about the biblical resurrection? Like we want to,
Okay. Well, I can
apply the same
even scale. So effectively, what we're going to do is the same as what is done by people like Gary Habermas and Mike Licona and others that I think are really good. Even William Lane Craig on the resurrection. We use neutral facts. Okay, let's put aside. You can actually make a very good case for the resurrection without relying on the Gospels. Okay, without relying, saying that I believe it because the Gospel says so.
Sure. Yeah.
What we do is we take 4 or 5 facts that all scholars accept. Right. And down the track, I'll summarize it here because I think people can.
We won't go into detail today,
but I'll summarize. I can do it very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are 5 facts, right? Number 1, the tomb is empty.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, let me backtrack.
Yeah.
First fact that we know is Jesus died by crucifixion. Okay. Fact. Second fact we know is that the disciples, they changed from being timid chickens to being bold as lion people, willing to die for their faith, and they were martyred because they said they saw the risen Jesus. In other words, they had encounters. They said that they had encounters with the risen Jesus. Okay. Second fact. Third fact is we have an enemy of the church who becomes a disciple because he said he saw the risen Jesus. Who's that?
Paul.
Saul of Tarsus becomes Paul. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Fourth fact is that we have a skeptic, someone who didn't believe that Jesus was God, but then after he says he had an encounter with the risen Jesus, and he becomes a disciple. Now, a lot of people don't really know who that is, but you know who that might have been? Who's the most skeptical? Are people in your family more skeptical, or people outside your family?
We're all not skeptical at all.
Yeah,
of my family.
Yeah, but the point. No, but I'm saying about you.
Yeah.
Like the people who don't know you very well, they give you grace, right?
Yeah.
But your family,
of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So who was Jesus' family that didn't believe him when he was alive?
Was it James?
James. That's right.
Yeah.
James didn't believe him, and the Bible says that, right?
His own brother.
His own brother. I mean, I know my brothers
before the resurrection.
Before the Jesus died.
Yeah.
And then James becomes a disciple after he says that he saw the risen Jesus. Fact number 4. Fact number 5 is the tomb was empty. Right. So now we can actually do a spreadsheet, and I can later on we can do it, but. I line up those facts, and then on the downside, and then I line across I line up the different explanations, and then we just tick. Okay, which one explains all the 5 facts? And you can actually do that as an exercise, and you'll find that the only explanation that explains all 5 facts is the resurrection.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the evidence. These are the explanations. And we see which one works.
Yeah, and the Christian faith hangs on the resurrection.
That's right.
Although the Bible covers from the beginning.
Yes.
From Genesis to resurrection, from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
You actually have full coverage.
Yeah. Even Genesis to Revelation.
What did I say?
Resurrection. That's okay.
Well, Friday. It's Friday afternoon.
That's good. This is fun.
Which I find interesting. Like 40 authors. Like it's a that's what we say. It's a divine book.
Yeah. Now, even though the Bible's not a focus necessarily of these talks, it's good that you brought that in because people can see we're using even scales.
Yeah.
All right. So we take the same approach, and so maybe I might just briefly touch on what we're going to look at in sessions to come.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. We're just going to look at all of the facts we can find.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's in summary.
Yeah.
Of 3 areas. Okay. Regarding the now, what are the 3 areas do you think we should investigate with respect to Islam?
Well, as you said before, the place, the time, the person.
That's right. Okay.
The Prophet.
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
The place Mecca.
Yeah. And what did he receive? What did he give?
Oh, and the Quran.
And the Quran, yeah.
And the book, yeah.
The book. The book, the man and the place.
Yeah.
Right? And we can do the same thing with Christianity, actually.
Yeah.
We have our book. New Testament. We have our man, Jesus Christ. We have our place, Jerusalem.
Yes.
See, that's why it's important. If Jesus wasn't Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified in Jerusalem, if we couldn't establish that, and he wasn't crucified in around the 1st century, then we've got no historical foundation.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I want to read the passage that I quoted before, because I think it's important that people see where we're coming from.
Yeah.
It's from Matthew chapter 7, and it's verses 24 onwards. I think it's only 24 to 25. I love this verse because it tells us, right? Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. Yeah. So this is what we're doing. We're like the rain and the flood, and we're pounding the house of Christianity, or the atheists pound the house of Christianity. Yeah. But has it fallen?
No.
No, why? Because it's built on the rock.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? But everyone who hears these sayings and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to look at the foundations of Islam. Is it a rock or is it sand? And how we're going to do that is we're going to look at those 3 areas that you covered, that you mentioned, the book, the man, and the place. And just really simple, like, okay, what does the archaeology tell us?
Yeah.
What do the sources from the 7th century tell us?
Yeah.
Right? What about Islamic sources? Can we trust Islamic sources?
Yeah.
As we'll see later, and you might want to, ask me down the track about why, but we can't trust the Islamic sources.
Yeah.
All right? And we'll look at sort of other things like carbon dating and stuff like that.
Sure. I think we are out of time, but before we finish, I just wanted to ask you, so how much time did you spend, like what have you done to actually gather Just in a summary, I know you know.
In a summary, okay. Well,
yeah,
that's an interesting question
because that's a big undertaking to actually, you know, get all that information. Look here and look there.
Yeah,
you know, and what's out there. Again, we might go into detail a bit later as to the different sources.
Yeah. But well, look, I guess
what effort did you take? Did it take months, years?
Well, it's been something over a period of years. But I guess to answer that question, you know, like a friend of mine says that I'm the guy that likes to read the stuff that gives most other people brain damage. So
you like to read a lot?
I don't mind reading. Like if I used to be politically active, and I'd read, like, you know, policy platforms of different political parties, and there'd be 200 and 300 pages, and people are like, no, I don't want to touch it, and I'd read it, right? So for me to read a book that's very detailed on stuff, I find it interesting. So I've read a lot of books.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of scholars.
Yeah.
I'm still listening and reading books by scholars, both Muslim scholars and those who might be Christian. I tend to stay away from the biased stuff. You know, I want to look at. I'm as I said last time, I'm not really interested in critiquing the Muhammad and the whole, you know, internal critique of Islam and the Islamic dilemma. I'm more looking at, okay, what do the inscriptions say? What do the coins say? You know, what are the sources from? And that's a really interesting area.
All right, so we want to talk about how we're going to test this. How we're going to test that the standard Islamic narrative is true. And you mentioned the 5 torpedoes. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Well, the 5 torpedoes is a YouTube channel that someone called Jim helped me set up. It's a repository for all of the information that I've collected, right? And it's based on an allegory. Okay, I use this metaphor, or a parable. Sorry, that's a better way to describe it. A parable. Imagine there are 2 islands. You've got Sin Island and you've got Paradise Island. Right? People are stuck on Sin Island, and in between there's a sea of sin. All right, so they're stuck there, and if they don't leave, they're going to die in their sins. If they try and cross the sea, they're going to die in their sins as well. There are 2 ships they can use to cross that sea. They can use the ship of Christianity, or they can use the ship of Islam. Okay, but in the ocean, under the water, are these submarines of scholarship. All right, these scholars in submarines underneath. You can't see them, and they're firing torpedoes of testing at each ship. Right, now, if the ship is not strong enough to withstand the torpedoes, you get a gaping hole in the side of the ship sinks. So the reason why we put 5 torpedoes is because Islam stands on the 5 pillars, doesn't it? Right. And so I thought, okay, that's quite. I like that idea. So we're going to sink the ship of Islam with the 5 torpedoes.
All right. That's good. I like the. What's the word? The visual nature of that. Okay. What else can we? What else? So we got 5 torpedoes. Or what are the 5 torpedoes?
Well, it's good you asked that, because the torpedoes are not all the same, right? You know, so the first torpedo is the torpedo of eyewitness testimony. Right? Do we have any eyewitness? What does that say? Right? Second torpedo is the torpedo of archaeological evidence. Right? What does that say? Third torpedo is written sources. From the 7th century or from the first, whatever, contemporary written sources. Right? Fourth torpedo is textual criticism. In other words, what does the text of the religion say? What is, you know, is that consistent with everything? And the fifth
been preserved.
And the 5th torpedo is other evidence. For example, you know, like meteorological, hydrological evidence. You know, scientific evidence, for example, like carbon dating. You know, linguistic analysis, those sorts of things, particularly when you're talking about names, you know. And so those 5 torpedoes are all fired one at a time. Okay, and they're fired at 3 different aspects: the book, the man, and the place.
Okay. Yeah.
So at the end of it, if all those torpedoes are successful, we have the ship of Islam has 15 gaping holes in it.
Right. Yeah.
Now, let me point something out. Well, let me ask you this, Jim. Do we really need all 5 torpedoes to be successful for the ship to sink?
One's enough.
One's enough.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. One's enough.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is show that one aspect of one of those 3 areas is faulty, and the whole ship will sink. Obviously, the more holes we can fire, the better, the quicker it sinks.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, you tell me, Jim, you probably know this, but have we as Christians, or has Christianity had to withstand that kind of testing?
Yeah, I mean, all the time.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact,
For the yeah. For
generations.
That's
That's right. The whole genre, the whole method of historical criticism, came from people who wanted to discredit the Bible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a university called Tübingen University in Germany in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And that's where they started. You know, trying to discredit the authorship of the Bible, trying to discredit that there was no one to call, that the Hittites didn't exist, and blah blah blah. Now, they've been firing those torpedoes at Christianity, the ship of Christianity, for 200 years.
Yeah.
Has the ship sunk?
No, it's going good as far as I can see.
That's right. People are still getting saved.
Yeah.
No one has been able to prove that Christianity is a false worldview.
Yeah.
Right? They may not like it.
Anybody who looks into it too deep, most of them convert, right?
That's right. Now, even if they don't,
these troubles.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And like I said, the Alan Sandages of the world, and the Nabil Qureshis of the world.
Yeah.
Even if they don't convert, the bottom line is they can't say that it's not reasonable.
Yeah.
Because we've got evidence.
Yes.
Right? So I believe Christianity properly presented, a key qualifier there, properly presented, okay, is reasonable. And so I want people to know that we haven't been selective. We're actually doing to Islam what's been done to us for 200 years.
Yeah. Do you feel like people haven't looked into Islam?
100%.
Until,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
people are afraid, or
that's one reason. That's one reason. But there's another reason too. Okay. Do you know what happened in 1992 that changed the world?
What happened?
President Bush signed something into law. WWW. The World Wide Web.
Oh yeah.
The internet.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The internet changed things.
That's right. Right.
People can't hide.
That's right. That's right. See, before 1992, the internet existed, but it was for military and education and all that, right?
Yeah.
But he created the World Wide Web, and from there, sort of like the Quran was online.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the Hadith are online. So people can read them now.
Translations, and anybody can look up anything.
That's right. And now people can read things.
Yeah.
See, before that, Islam was protected. It wasn't, no one really questioned it. No one questioned the Islamic narrative because we all assumed it was true.
Yeah.
We just assumed it was true.
Yeah.
But no one says, well, hang on, was there really a Muhammad? Was there really a Mecca? From the early 90s, people started to it was actually being done in academic circles from the early 1980s, but in academic circles, it was in print, and you actually had to know who those scholars were, right? It wasn't at a popular level. It's only since the internet, when that sort of stuff has been able to be freely available, that people are now starting to really question the Islamic narrative, and so they should, because I don't believe anybody should be allowed to say something and make a worldview claim if they're not willing to have it questioned.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean,
wonderful. Well, there's more to come.
More to come. And I think you would agree, Jim. I mean, are you afraid to have your beliefs as a Christian questioned?
No. I mean, question it all you want.
That's right. And we can give a response, and people can agree with us or not agree with us. That's up to them.
Yeah.
But we can't say no. You can't ask me that.
Yeah.
You see that's not reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, I've come to a place where I'm happy to talk about anything and everything, you know, like sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh, Jim, you know, that's such a personal thing, you know, like you do you, or, you know, I feel like that's not an honest position.
No, it isn't. And,
you know,
and one thing that, you know, we didn't touch on the first session was truth, but there's two kinds of truth. There's absolute truth and relative truth, you know, like what's true for you and is not true for me. That's relativism.
Yes.
But there are certain things that are true for all of us.
Yeah.
And if there is a heaven or hell, it's true for all of us, no matter what we think. Right? If Christianity is true, it makes certain claims that apply to everybody.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis said it this way. He said, Christianity is either of infinite importance or of no importance. The one thing it cannot be is of moderate importance.
Yeah.
You know? And so, so I don't buy this whole relativism stuff.
Yeah.
It's either true or it's not true.
Yeah.
You know? You know, I guess the reason why I'm sort of passionate about something like this is summed up by one of my daughters and her friends at school who was a Muslim, and she was saying in their SRE class that one of the things that she really, you know, is upset about, or was upset about her faith as a Muslim, is she wasn't allowed to question anything. Now, down the track, if we've got time, we might look at the history of how that came about. So this is a girl in, you know, I won't give the age, but she wasn't allowed to question. She went on a journey. Yeah. By the grace of God, a couple of weeks ago, she got baptized as a Christian.
Amazing, yeah.
A Muslim girl becomes a Christian.
Yes.
You know, because somebody took the time to listen to her questions and address her questions.
And it's a high cost for them.
Yes.
You know, they have to go, you know, the family's not going to accept it.
Yeah. And now I don't know whether she's told her family.
Okay.
I don't know. That's why I'm keeping the details.
It's very high cost.
It is.
Yeah.
But do you see, why did she become a Christian? Because she had questions.
Yeah.
She was allowed to ask those questions to her Christian friends. The answers they gave her answers, gave her hope, gave her meaning.
Yeah.
But she wasn't allowed to ask those questions in Islam.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is one of Islam's biggest problems.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know, there's so much information on the internet. You got all these characters, you know.
Yeah.
Sam Shamoun, God Logic, and all there's so much stuff in there. Yeah. It's good to see dialogue happening. Yeah. And the emotions bubbling and you know.
But not as many people doing the historical side of it.
That is true, yeah.
So that's why I've tried to take the 5 torpedoes, I've tried to make it really take all the academic stuff and boil it down to a lot of useful facts.
Yeah.
There's also footnotes, and there's stuff there. If someone wants to knock themselves out and get stuck into the academics, I've done detailed explanations of all the sources I've used. Yeah. There's probably 250,000 words of stuff backing that site. Yeah. Do I expect people to read that? No, but for someone who's a nerd,
do you want to tell the audience how can they find this information?
Yeah, for sure. And we can put
a website.
Yeah, there's a website, and we can put the link in the description box. Yeah. YouTube is Islam a sinking ship? All one word.
Just okay. Yeah.
And the website the same. Is Islam a sinking ship? Is Islam a sinking ship.com? Yeah. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but I like the analogy because it's a really good question to ask. Yeah. And I believe that Islam is a sinking ship. And together we want to be part of sinking it.
Yeah, wonderful.
Because that way people who know that they have an eternal destiny will be more likely to look for a ship that's not sinking and come to Jesus.
Yeah, wonderful.
Amen.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Till next time.
Till next time. Beautiful.